Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Jhone Ebert joins us. She's Superintendent of Public Instruction at the Nevada Department of Education. For the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
This is Liz. Liz is what you might call an enthusiast. She's enthusiastic about her rose garden, her book club, and her colossal collection of colorful scrubs. She's also enthusiastic about helping her fellow Nevadans protect their health. That's why when she votes in our upcoming primary election, Liz will be enthusiastically mailing her vote in. Voting by mail is simple, convenient, and the smartest possible way to safeguard everyone's health. So be like Liz. Mail it in, Nevada.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're delighted to welcome to the program for the first time Jhone Ebert. She is Superintendent of Public Instruction for the Nevada Department of Education. Pleasure to have you on the program, ma'am.
Thank you, Sam. I'm so glad to be on Nevada Newsmakers.
Well, we appreciate that. Let's start out with, if you could just briefly give us the elevator pitch for what your job is by comparison with, say, the superintendents of the various 17 districts in the state. What's the difference between what you do and what they do?
Yeah, so we know that education is a key function of every single state, and it starts with the State Department of Education. And so the State Board of Education really does, with the department, does the what. What is the expectation for our students to know and be able to do? Our expectations for adults as the leaders within their school buildings. The school districts themselves work on the how. How are they going to implement what those expectations are? And so that's kind of the big flyover as far as what and how differences between the State Department of Education as well as the local districts. The State Department of Ed itself, we cover a myriad of work, from educator licensing to renewals, the development and support of our educators, which is inclusive of counselors, social workers, administrators, parental involvement, family support, student enrollment. There is a large depth and breadth. That's kind of the brushstroke of what we do here at the Department of Education. But basically for myself, as a CEO, State Department of Education, to support our 17 school districts, as well as the State Public Charter School Authority.
All right, so let's start out with some questions about this. What are your concerns, if you have them, about distance education so far because of the governor shutting down the schools for the rest of this year?
Yeah, so what I would say, I think a lot of people, when we talk about distance education, we need to recognize that here in Nevada, distance education, learning at a distance, learning at home is not new for us. Because of our extreme rural components, we have had used our PBS stations, both here in Reno as well as in Vegas, to distribute lessons and materials. It was with paper and pencil back in the 50s and 60s to make sure that students had access to learning and instruction. What today, where we're at, we want to leverage the technology that is available across our state. What has happened, and we've known this for a while, and now it's just been exposed, is there's inequities. Some families have access to the internet and others do not. And so this pandemic with distance learning has just really highlighted the inequities that we have. And so we've been working really closely with the federal government, as well as the State Department, as well as our local providers, to make sure that they provide our families with access to learning and learning opportunities. So what I would say is that, not to forget that as a state, this is in our DNA. In fact, when the directive was made by the governor, we had to shift. We already had Nevada NRS, Nevada Revised Statute, on the books for distance learning, but what we had to add into it is that we would allow paper. And because we know it's been an opt-in situation for many, many years for distance learning, and the pandemic did not create an opt-in situation, it created all students must participate in a distance learning environment. And so how do we make that happen? And in some instances, it was via paper.
All right, so let's deal with this piece by piece. Let's start out with bandwidth issues, because I know that rural development has been pushing expanded internet access for years now and putting tens of millions of dollars into this. What's the areas that are the weakest in terms of bandwidth that need to be worked on in our state?
So we have areas of our, and I'm glad you brought that up, because we still have areas, remote areas, our tribal nations, when we think even out in Elko, and people forget also too in Clark County, there is extreme still frontier land where there is not internet access. And so how do we close those gaps? I think what's important is that we capitalize off of things and where we've been working with telehealth, right? We want our families to have access to medical professionals, as well as having access to our educators. So I think we need to leverage, I know we need to leverage bandwidth and support in those areas. We still need to get trenching and hardwire in areas. When I was researching with the Office of Innovation and Technology, the director there had indicated that we're still in a lot of places can't receive the bandwidth. And so I actually asked about, can districts or communities have their own ISP? And found out that here in Nevada, the only county that is allowed to do that is Churchill County. So there are things that we need to look at in regard to policy. But right now, today, as we sit here looking at supports with the FCC, as well as our delegation in Washington, in the HEROES Act, there are dollars that are allocated specifically for broadband access, because we've made this huge shift from learning within a school building, which there have been dollars made available for schools and libraries in the past. Those dollars now need to be shifted into homes. Just like we have electricity in homes, we need to have internet access in homes.
And for people that live in urban areas that have a multitude of choices for internet, not just do we have it or not, it's kind of shocking to hear that there are still places that don't have that kind of access. Switch, several years ago, was in the process of building a circuit that went from the Reno area to Las Vegas, over to LA, up to San Francisco, and back to Reno. Has that loop been completed, and are you able to access that?
So my understanding is that from Vegas to Reno, that has been completed. There is on the books, there were plans to go out on I-80. My understanding is that it has not been completed, that work that was proposed. It's interesting that you bring that up, because my time here in Nevada, when Switch was heavily involved in all of that work, and started it up. I worked with them when I was in Clark County School District directly, And then I went and worked in New York for the last 4 years, and now I'm glad to be home back in Nevada. So that was actually my question, is where are corporations such as Switch and others in being able to complete that circuit? So I think that's a great question that I am definitely going to follow up on.
All right, and please let us know. Also, Valley Electric, a couple of years ago, before they were having a lot of issues with their management, was also taking over as the provider for the Pahrump area and expanding out into schools. Can you give us any update on how that's working?
I think you just gave me another homework task.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so then let's move on to the next.
That's a take-home question, right?
Okay, no, and that's fine, because we're going to welcome you back anytime you want to come. So please, I know exactly who you're going to direct these questions to, and they can do the research and get back to us. All right, so then let's talk about, on a more serious note, are students going to be falling behind because of this distance learning that was mandated, or do you think that they will be able to catch up so that we don't see, a whole year of school going away?
So what we have to look at is we have a situation where the learning has been interrupted, right? When we think about a continuum of learning, we normally think of a normal calendar, that a child enters second grade, they learn and attain all the expectations that we have for them at that grade level, and then they move on to third grade. What we know is in the not all instances, students have had the opportunities to learn the material that's been expected. So we have the opportunity now to think differently about all of our children and really think about the continuum of learning, not just their age. And so we have some students that learn rather quickly, and so we want to see them advance, but we also have other students that, not because they can't learn the material, but just because they need a little more time to learn the material. So when we think about competency-based learning and what our expectations are for children, when you bring a highly effective educator, our expectations for our children, and technology together, you can leverage all of that. And we are, as educators, going to need to think about time differently. And so, I think that in the future, we really need to leverage what we know about our expectations, the resources that we have in Nevada, including our families. Our families now have had exposure to what educators do every day. Some of our parents can't wait until school buildings open again. But I think we all need to be clear that it's going to be different based on, number one, the health and safety. We cannot fit as many children as we have in the past into a physical space, but we can continue learning with technology, access to that internet-enabled device, a highly effective educator, as well as high-quality content. So supporting our teachers is important, and our administrators, all of the educators within a system. I think about our bus drivers as well. For the buses that will run, we'll probably need more buses across the state. But for those that will run, the seating is going to look different. And we're going to need give ourselves permission to, number one, think differently about time and space. But also we're going to need to do a little practicing ourselves as we move forward in that. And we may fail forward in some things. I'm okay with that. We just need to make sure that we're moving in the right direction.
All right, we'll take a break. More with Jhone Ebert when we come back.
Kenny! Dad? What are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow! This stuff is great! People are gonna love it!
Yes. Yes, they will.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Jhone Ebert. She's the Superintendent of Public Instruction at the Nevada Department of Education. So I've talked about on this program before that because of COVID, we're seeing things move along that perhaps we're going to be in 5 or 10 years from now, and they're now happening now. For example, telemedicine. You can go back 30 years to ATM machines. When they first came out, people were like, oh my goodness, you know, these things work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They don't take vacations. And we didn't lose employees because banks found other ways to utilize people. But was this the future of education anyway, and we're just moving it forward by X amount of years?
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. We have, you know, as noted earlier, had distance education in our DNA here in Nevada. It's been an opt-in situation. And now, given the pandemic, it's not that. And we just need to move faster and help those that have not opted in into the new distance learning. We're still going to have space, and we need to have space where people can come together, where students do need one-on-one. We have our differently abled students. We have students that speak multiple languages. And so how do we do the social emotional piece? How do we do athletics? I have a whole group that is working on that right now. Because we know we want our students to participate in athletics. And so how do we do it with the pandemic and moving forward?
It seems to me that that social interaction is the other half of this, that yes, you can provide the education portion of it in terms of math, English, etc., science, but that social interaction, learning to react to other people. I mean, we already have, you know, part of my business on the other side of this, beyond doing this show, is running an advertising agency. And I have a client that teaches how to actually talk to people, how to answer a phone, how to be in an interview, because people have stopped doing those kind of things. And so if you take social interaction out of the classroom, isn't that a huge piece of a child's education?
Yeah, so I'm a hugger. And so this whole pandemic has rocked my world in that respect. You know, just in the hallways and working here in the Department of Education, we had to move furniture out. We are still having conversations, but they're different. And so I think working with, and this is where I've asked the school districts too, working within our communities, asking our students how they see learning moving forward. What are they missing right now? How can we do our business differently? I think our children have great answers to this work as well. So it's having those conversations not only with our medical experts, but also with those we serve. And it will, we are in a shift that I look forward to looking back 5 years, you know, as 5 years out from now. What did we do really well? What could we have done differently? And then how can we move forward? It's just keeping that eye on what our children need. That social emotional interaction is part of it, and working through this, I believe that we as Nevadans will get through it.
One of the things that I think is important in what you're saying is, yes, it's absolutely fine to ask children what they think they're missing, but I think it's important for the system to know what should be done, because it's like entertainment. You know, if you go out and ask 100 people, well, what kind of show would you like to see? They would have absolutely no clue. It's the job of producers of entertainment to know what entertainment is, what entertainers know is entertainment, and then that way you have the creativity that then results in interaction between the audience. Say, for example, Seinfeld. Would anybody have ever said that a show about nothing would be one of the most successful shows in all of television? So do you understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah, Sam, I couldn't agree with you more. It's the balance of making sure that you recognize the assets that exist out in the community. And, you know, Steve Jobs said that if he gathered everyone and asked them, you know, how to develop the iPod and the iPhone, that it wouldn't look exactly what it looks like. And so it's finding that balance of innovation, leading forward, as well as understanding the context of environment and how people interact. So yes, I couldn't agree with you more.
All right, let's take another break. We'll be back with Jhone Ebert after this timeout.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. At Design Outdoor, we specialize in all hardscapes, pavers, and walls you'll need for everything, from wonderful small yards to full-blown outdoor living. And we only refer the best contractors to make your vision a reality. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and because I represent men in all family law matters, women often call me gender traitor, woman hater, and even disgusting. So why represent men and target myself with these offensive monikers? It's simple. Children with fathers in their lives are 6 times less likely to drop out of school, 15 times less likely to go to prison, and 5 times less likely to commit suicide. So ladies, you can hate me, but please love your children more than you hate their fathers.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Jhone Ebert. She's the Superintendent of Public Instruction with the Nevada Department of Education. So one area that does concern me, and I'm sure concerns you as well, is the potential with social distancing and distance learning for child abuse, for problems within the home. Affecting the child's ability to learn and not giving either the parents or the child the ability to get away from each other for a period of time. Share that with us if you would.
You're speaking to reality. And what we need to do, and actually we've had some educators that have contacted within their school districts as a child is conversing via a virtual meeting like we are now, there may be an argument going off in a corner of the household. And so, you know, our educators are now experiencing a different teaching environment. So when we talk about the health and safety of our families, and given the unemployment too in our state, we know that it causes great stress. And I think maybe you hear a little bit of hesitation in my voice as well, because I've personally have had those experiences. Stress in a family where there is no income coming in, and it creates an environment that is not sometimes safe for children. So we have been sharing with our children and the adults as well. We have our Safe Voice program where you can call in and speak to an adult. We will make sure they receive the resources that they have. We also have, and I can follow up so you can post it, and it is on our website, other resources where students can talk. I think that as a community, we need to talk openly about the situation that we're in. We need to ensure that our children are in safe environments. If the adults in the family need assistance, we need to make sure they know where their resources are. Look, our community stepped up. The closure happened of schools on March 16th. We started serving, the school districts and the Department of Agriculture stepped up, started serving thousands of families food, basic needs.
Jhone, I have to cut you off because we're out of time, but that just means we want to have you come back because we have so many more questions and we haven't even got into fiscal situation that the state is going to deal with. I really appreciate you being here. Please come back soon.
Thank you. I'd love to.
And we'll be right back.
A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's Development Company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's Development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. You can do that now these days. We'll see you on the next broadcast.